15 years ago, a lonely rogue scientist created a mutagen to make his own mutant family. But when a strike force attempts to capture him and his research, some of that green ooze ends up in the sewer, and it comes into contact with 4 turtles and a rat, giving each of them human-like features. The turtles were fascinated with the human world, and so Splinter, the rat, reluctantly takes them to the surface, knowing firsthand that mankind is intolerant of what they don't understand. They respond aggressively. So Splinter teaches them how to fight, using all the tools at his disposal. And now, in present day, our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles long for the outside world, to step out of the shadows, and to be an active member of society. But they know that this dream will never be a reality. That is, until they meet April O'Neil, a teenage human that accepts them for who they are. And just like them, she's seeking approval. And what's the best way to do it? To be a hero. By overthrowing an underground criminal gang being led by someone known as Superfly. Which, honestly, is more like a plan B, but what do I know? So, I want to be totally transparent here. I'm not a TMNT fan. Not to say I dislike the series, because I don't, but I'm not very familiar with it. I didn't read the comics from the 80s. I didn't grow up watching the cartoon. And I still haven't seen the trilogy of movies from the early 90s. All of this to say, I wasn't excited about Mutant Mayhem from the get-go, but as soon as I saw the posters, I was instantly sold. It was clearly inspired by that living comic book look that we saw in those Spider-Verse movies. And honestly, if you're gonna copy something, you could do much worse. But once this finally released and I watched it, I was completely awestruck. This wasn't a cheap knockoff. The visuals are completely delightful. This movie is bursting with personality and creativity. It's charming and very, very funny. Seriously, I'm just smiling while watching this. I'm chuckling. I'm vocally amused. It's a blast. Alongside the visuals, the audio is terrific. Setting aside the incredibly strong soundtrack for the movie, the score by Trent Reznor is really intense and dramatic. On the technical front, this movie might not be hitting the same highs as Spider-Verse, but it's easily just as enjoyable. Mostly because they put their heart into it. I might not be very familiar with the series up to this point, but I think it's safe to say that this is a TMNT for a new generation. It's filled with modern pop culture references, there's strong representation, and the morals, the themes of this movie perfectly align with the Turtles at their core. It doesn't feel forced or shoehorned in, it all comes off naturally and sincere and well-refined. Because sociology and prejudice and isolation are all at the core of this story. The way they tell this story is incredibly fast-paced. It's satisfying and it's entertaining. Take Splinter's story, for example, when the movie is catching you up on the story so far. It covers a lot of ground quickly, and it's very funny. And still, it's bittersweet. And the entire movie has this kind of energy. I actually like Splinter a lot. You completely sympathize with his views towards humans because of everything that's happened to him. And he's just trying to keep his family safe. He's a great character, and he's Jackie Chan, so that's a lot of fun. And once you see him leap into action, he even fights like Jackie Chan, using the environment to his advantage. It's terrific. The Turtles are awesome, which is good, you would hope so. The teenagers actually act like teenagers, and they sound like teenagers because they are teenagers. But it's never really grating because the dialogue is snappy and fun, and there's a lot of chemistry with the voice actors. There's almost always something funny happening, if not being said, then being shown, but usually it's both. I think all of the characters are well distinguished and each of them have plenty to do. But the story really revolves around Leo, who acts as their leader. And he doesn't really want to disappoint Splinter. He's trying to keep his brothers in check and stop abusing their father's trust. But all it takes for Leo to pull a complete 180 is to have his existence acknowledged by a human teenage girl, and for her to suddenly need a hero. It's like all of his hormones finally kicked in at once. It's great. Onto the subject of April O'Neil, there was a bit of controversy with her skin color. People are once again furious that their beloved childhood characters were being race-swapped and blah blah blah. Now, I'm not a longtime fan, but I do know how to use the internet. And April was originally conceived in the comics as a mixed-race character. Regardless, April's look has changed over the years. And this isn't the first time she was black in the animated form, as seen here in Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in 2018. I see no legitimate reason to dislike April O'Neil in this movie. The best thing about her is that, like the Turtles, she's a teenager. She's not a journalist just yet. She has stage fright, anxieties, and insecurities. But she has her dreams and her ambitions, and a ton of personality. She's a great character, and she plays off the rest of the cast really well. But let's talk about the villains. It's an ensemble of characters, and they're all so memorable. Also, with comic book movies, sometimes a weak villain or motivation can really drag down the rest of the show. Not the case here. All of the motivations in this movie are circular. They're practically family. They understand each other. Everyone wants the same end result: to not be harmed from humans. But the thing is, well, they all have very different solutions to this problem. The entire theme is about being a pariah. As funny and random and ridiculous as this movie is, it has a strong and consistent focus on these ideas. April and the Turtles want to be heroes so that people will like them. The other mutants want to turn animals into mutants so they won't be outcasts. Splinter wants to live in the shadows so that people can never hurt him. Honestly, Superfly wanting to enslave humanity might be a bit much. More like a plan B. But what do I know? Every line from Superfly is delightful. I feel like I'm watching a Jump Street movie. Ice Cube just totally steals the show. And when he turns into Super Duper Fly, the movie doesn't miss a beat. It stays fast, it stays funny, and now it's just much more epic. The Spider-Man 2 moment with all the people of New York uniting for the heroes is a really sweet moment. The climax is exciting, and every character gets a moment to join in on the fun. This movie actually has really great action. The No Diggity fighting montage is just outstanding. The Four Non-Blondes remix is exciting. I mentioned it already, but the Jackie Chan fight is also really good and funny. The action is great, the art style is satisfying, the music is outstanding, the comedy is non-stop, and the storytelling is effective and enjoyable. Everything about this movie is a positive. I might not be a lifelong fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I'm definitely a fan of Mutant Mayhem. And thanks to this movie, it may serve as my inspiration to explore more from this franchise. I wholeheartedly recommend this, not just to the fans, but to anyone that's simply looking for a good movie.
Can I kick it? Yes, you can. 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 Can I kick it? Can I kick it? Yes, you can. Can I kick it?